new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day one, or day two, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Welcome to the Final Fantasy Lorecast, a podcast dedicated to the history and lore of the Final Fantasy series. Join us as we take a deep dive into the different worlds, characters, and so much more. Welcome back, Warriors of Light, to another episode of the Final Fantasy Lorecast. And I am Ben of Temeria, one of your hosts, and followed by my two other hosts here, Trey.
Hello.
And Steven.
Hello, I'm back.
Yes, he is back from a week hiatus because sick? I can't remember. Dog.
Yes, how is the dog?
How is Shiva?
She's actually in here with us today. She won't come on camera though. She's an old lady and she's lazy and won't get up, but she's here.
That sounds like Shiva. Anyway, talking about Final Fantasy Shiva. And today's episode is very special. We are joined here with one of our patrons, and it is our first patron chat. And I like to introduce him, Highland Cubby. How are you?
Hello. Glad to join you. Highland Cubby, also known as Brian.
Thank you for joining us.
Here. Glad to talk some old school Final Fantasy.
Yes. Today's topic is going over the old school Final Fantasy, which, going to blatantly say this out in the beginning of the episode, me and Steven have very little info, and very little experience on. So Trey is pretty much going to be like the expert on this episode, with Cubby, and yeah, we know the newer stuff.
I feel like you guys probably have you not even got heard the beats of the story from 6?
Yeah, well, no. So 6, I know I've played like halfway. I guess I can say up till the world changes. That's where I got to, and then I stopped playing. Beyond that,
all right, so you got to basically the end.
Oh, well then, okay, yeah, then I almost.
Is that fair to say, Cubby? You're more of the 6
point
expert than me.
Halfway.
I put it the halfway point. I mean, yeah. I would always spend, and I think my brother's on chat as well, and we would agree that like we would spend double the time sometimes in the World of Ruin, which is the second half, just grinding levels and getting magic.
I guess I more mean story wise, like story content wise. I would say he got through at least like 75% of it.
That's probably fair. Yeah.
Because like I mean we're diving into it. Like Kefka destroys the world. You wake up, you hopefully feed the guys some fish before you take off, and then you go and get your crew back together and you go save the world. But I feel like a lot of the story of 6 is built before Kefka completes his mission, and is probably why one of the things Cubby wants to talk about is who is the best villain.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like backstory that they get into with some of building out some of the character development, which I think is one of the strong points of that game actually, is all of the character development. I mean, you got 14 characters, but that's like one of those perennial debates. It feels like is who really is the main character of Final Fantasy VI.
Who's your vote? I always assumed it was Terra.
I would say it's either. I think it's both. I think there's two. I think it's Terra and Salis.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Uh,
Ben,
Sure.
what do you think?
Yep.
Sure, we'll go with that. Yeah, my knowledge of all this is like going way over my head. All the info I have is all the research that I've done and put into these episodes.
Ben, have you
No,
played
so-
12?
12?
Have you? Yeah.
I've like played the beginning of 12 and then bits and pieces back when it first dropped on a friend's console, but not like actually sat down and like played the game myself.
Gotcha. So, because it's similar to, there's not 14 characters, but I think there's 8. I can't count off the top of my head, but there's a whole lot
There's
of characters, and you can swap them in and out. Like, you don't necessarily have to have, you're not stuck with one party leader, like over in say 7 through 9,
Yeah.
where you have to have Cloud, Squall, or Zidane. So you're welcome to change any of them out that you'd like. And I
Interesting.
think 10, I think you can do the same thing, but you always have the same map character. Same Titus is always walking around. Oh yeah, Sharp mentioned there's a huge cast in Type 0 too. I think he said there was 12 cadets.
Yeah, 12 I know has a big one.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few in 4 also, isn't there?
Yeah, 4 really has.
I know that they cycle them in and out. They do a good job of like bringing the party members in for a little bit and out. It's not like your typical Final Fantasy most people think of, but I feel like in total there's quite a few. If you total them up, I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, you have the one main character. You have Cecil, who's like your one main character, and then you have a bunch that kind of come in and out. You have the the short-term characters that are only there for a little while. You get that a lot, where you have like someone who's super OP.
Yeah.
Like Tella is the first one, right? He's the sage. He doesn't remember most of his spells, but he has like some spells that you shouldn't know at that time. And then later on in the game, he gets like every single spell, but he only has 90 MP.
Right, and isn't, if I remember correctly, the spell he's trying to cast costs 99 MP, so he knows how to cast it, but no matter how high you level him up, he can never actually cast the spell.
That's right. Until it happens in the story. Spoiler.
And then I also think, as you said, you meet him and you said he's in your party and he's super overpowered. But when you level him up, he levels up super slow.
Yeah.
Because I listened to a couple podcasts about 4 just to kind of get a remember, because I played it some, but I never beat it, and I remember the one overpowered character. So I think that's really cool how they used the game mechanics to help tell the story.
Yeah.
And I think part of what you wanted to highlight in your love from, 1 through 6, but really in particular this 4 through 6, the SNES genre or generation, is how they were able to take the bones they had from 1, 2, and 3 and just flesh out everything they wanted to do creatively in the 2D world in 4, 5, and 6. And for me, what I thought was really interesting in 4 was how they were able to do those types of things, like limiting the MP, how they leveled up. There were a couple other things now I can't remember. I should have wrote them down, but just incorporating the game system into the storytelling.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, the fact that they tell the story, like things happen to the characters. Cecil changes his class, and that's a big story point. Starts off at a dark knight, then becomes a paladin or a holy knight. There's limitations with Tella, and they the spell Meteor, which obviously makes a comeback later, right, in many of the further games. That's supposed to be this super OP spell, and he learns it at a certain point. The big thing, I think one of the biggest things that they innovated in this game was the active time battle, the ATB thing, where, it's not like, okay, you choose and now the enemy chooses, and then you choose and the enemy chooses. It was an active battle. So that was also, kind of a fancy thing that they started doing. And the rotating party is a big storytelling element, right? you have a big crew, and then someone gets taken. You have a big crew, and then everyone gets disbanded, and then it's just you again. You're Cecil. So that's another big storytelling element that I'm not sure they really did in the earlier games. And is where I think in the earlier games you had kind of a set cast of characters, right?
I believe so, yeah.
I know at least in 1 and 2. I'm not sure about 3.
1 for sure, yeah.
And like in this one, you get Palom and Porum in 4, which are a set of twins, which everyone who's played 4 absolutely loves, myself included.
Yeah.
They are just the best twins.
Yeah, they are. It's a very emotional moment when you lose them, from your party. Yeah, it's there's a lot of those emotional moments, where you lose someone who's critical to the party, right? And they were a critical part.
There is in the Final Fantasy IX podcast part we're gonna do like basically the start of the game. And at the end of that start of the game, there is a scene that is when you play it, you are going to see it and you're going to remember Palom and Porum, and when you lose them specifically, and you're just going to be like, "Oh, this was such an amazing nod to Final Fantasy IV," and it's something that it's a moment that Steve and I both love, but it's one he doesn't even know is a reference, and one I didn't appreciate until years later.
Gotcha.
And that's a tease to bonus episodes. Just saying.
Yes.
We're going to put the first one out. That's going to be...
Well, yeah, but it's going to be a bonus episode on top of the standard week.
Oh, yeah.
And then become a patron, and then you can listen to the rest, because they'll be patron exclusives. But anyway.
I know one of the
that's
other
what I
things
love... go ahead.
Go ahead. One of the other things they continued here is they still have the crystals, right, which are... were a big component of the earlier games. They continued that. Although this time, and this kind of becomes a thing, right? You never actually succeed in collecting the crystals. You keep failing along the way. I don't know if that plays into from a story perspective. Just some random things I've written down. I know Sid is a big component. He's in all of these games. He's the airship guy. He's actually a party member at a time, so I know that's different in some games. You have something called the Lunar Whale, which is basically like a house that you can move around with. That's spectacular. But again, I think that kind of thing, continues on throughout the series as well, where you have different modes of transportation. You get one that oftentimes becomes like a house for you to go around in.
But there's only one game where you get to ride a whale to the freaking moon.
That's true.
Hey,
right.
Hey, 14 has the Lunar Whale. Thank you very much. As a paid mount.
Do you get to ride it to a moon?
You can go to the moon in Endwalker.
Not the same. You gotta jump off planet and ride it to the moon. That's how that works.
No.
And that's why the Lunar Whale is so special and so silly.
You also go to the moon in 8, but it's not quite as cool as riding a whale to do it.
So, did you love anything else specifically about 4 before I try and jump us into 5?
Yeah, you can jump into 5. I mean, I could probably talk for hours. This was the first big Final Fantasy game for me. It was my first, and I think my brother did it with me. Our first all-nighter was playing this game. I think I was probably 1991, right? So I was 13.
How many times have you purchased this? How many times have you purchased this game, and on how many different platforms?
5. I just purchased I think the 5th time was when I purchased the Pixel remaster on the Switch. Yeah. 5 is a different story because that was never released originally in the US, right? And so I only played that on an emulator in college.
Yeah.
Not that I'm recommending anyone do that.
No, because you can get
officially,
them now. You have access to them now. But
that's right.
back then, like we read about them, like and sorry to just jump on this, Steve and Ben. If you guys want to jump on, you can. I'm just gonna nerd out for a second. But like that's how we had to play them. Like you read about them on GameFAQs and on these message boards back then. And you wanted to play them too. And I loved 5. I played 5 on an emulator, and I know it gets a lot of hate, but I loved the job system. I loved the customization of it, and I just really enjoyed just all of it, really. And it was just something that I could load up on my computer, put my headphones in, pull up my Winamp, see what I had downloaded off of Napster that week, and have a good, have a nice 3-hour stretch.
There you
and
go.
Yes, Sharp and Chat was saying 4 was 3 when it came to the U.S. That is correct.
4 was
Numbering,
actually
yeah.
2 when it came to the U.S.
Oh, is it 2? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was 2, and then
Yeah.
6 was 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was weird because the localization of the games going from Japan to the U.S. was Japanese games in the U.S. during the 90s wasn't popular until you got to like the 2000s, and that's when everything started popping off. Honestly,
I forgot to mention my favorite part of Final Fantasy II on the Super Nintendo, which is "You spoony bard." You've probably seen that quote somewhere.
Yeah.
That was the localization error, but it stuck.
The
But,
localization
five-
errors are the best.
It is. They can be.
Yeah.
5 continues with the crystals, right? But again, you never.
And in this one, you
never
also
succeed.
don't get them.
What's that? Yeah.
I was saying the same thing you did.
They're like they break, and that actually gives you the jobs. Is when the crystals break.
Doesn't that happen in Strangers of Paradise as well? I think that's like how it.
Yeah, a little
So,
bit.
Yeah.
the one, how they break them.
I always
they get their. That's how they give him his power. Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
kind
so-
of.
Yeah. Crystal's episode was a long time ago. I don't remember as much.
Yeah, that was quite a bit. But in 5, so that first playthrough you get so excited when you find a crystal because you're getting ready to get more stuff's getting ready to open up, and even though your party is going to fail story wise and that sucks, you get something out of it, and like it's so exciting that first playthrough when you don't know what jobs you're going to get, and you can just kind of I would make a separate save file so then I could just test different things out and just play around with it. And it was just, it was fantastic. It was, I know the story wasn't necessarily the greatest. It was pretty standard, but I really loved the job system and just how it all worked together.
Yeah, I see in the chat, I see Mastodon's, glad you could join. The mentioning the job system is spectacular. Like I have trouble with games that have job systems. Like it just is a little bit too much for me to understand. There's so much flexibility, and you don't know like what's the right job mixture with. It's so hard to balance. I thought this one was great. It was interesting to use, and what I like about it is the fact that when you max out a job, you get like their max skill, any skill that you learn, you can bring into another class. So if you level up a white mage and then you switch to a fighter, you can bring that white mage skill into your fighter and use white magic as a fighter, right? And then when you max it out, you get certain special abilities. So the key for me, when I remember, was you max out everyone in the ninja class, because the ninja class gives you dual wielding, and then everyone becomes a dual wielder. I think the red mage, I think it was the red mage that had like dual cast. So you could give everyone dual casting if you maxed out red mage. So there was nice little tweaks like that made it a little bit more flexible. Especially in endgame, when basically by endgame you're not using job classes, you're just back to I don't remember what they called it, the freelancer class, and then you could just use whatever skills you've earned along the way from your jobs. That's what I liked about it, because you can kind of design your own party and have your casters and your fighters. It was and the story was great too. I mean, just the fact that they were able to have all these little nuances, these seeds that they plant early in the game, and then they would twist on it a little bit later. You know, I don't know how much people have played 5, but there's all these little twists along the way and I think this is something I want to get into a little bit later, that at some point you realize that everything you thought you were doing was wrong, and it was actually like there's actually something completely different that is the real big bad. You know, you think you're doing one thing, and then you realize, you know, Galuf gets his memory back, and you're like, oh wait, this is bigger than we thought.
Right.
Go to another world.
I guess I don't remember it necessarily as thinking, oh, I was playing for the wrong side. I remember it as he gets his memories back, and it's almost like an Avenger who is used to just stopping crime, and then he goes to that big wave in New York, and it's like, oh, I really stepped up all of a sudden. It was like, Gallup gets his memories back, and then it went from, oh, we're just kind of traveling around saving this area to we got to save everything. And for a story that gets criticized, I think you're right. They do plant a lot of little things. I think it has a lot of nuance. I think it's just people look at it and it doesn't have a huge crazy twist, so people think it's bad. But for me, if it's a standard story, if you tell it as good as they did, it's still an excellent story.
Yeah. And that's what I meant. When I said the wrong side, I wasn't meaning the wrong side. I mean, like, you thought you were saving your own world, but guess what? There's a whole universe out there, and this bad guy's going to absorb the universe or something crazy like that, right?
Yeah.
I think go ahead.
I was just saying, I don't think the games, like, throughout the series, they don't necessarily need like a big twist, like a big crazy twist to be good. Like even 9, there's no big twist other than, you know, there's another bad guy. You know, there's ultimately a higher up. I think it all starts out like that. Like I think in most of the games, like even in 7, you start out in Midgar. You're like, all right, we're gonna save the slums, and then it ends up, okay, cool, we gotta save the whole world. I think they all eventually ramp up to, like, okay, we're gonna save this little area that we know and that we're really attached to. Ultimately, that ends up, we gotta save the whole world. I think in most of them. Except for, 10 doesn't do that.
And it's even wrong because something crazy does happen in 6. It just, I don't know why it didn't get the same weight that the equivalent of 7s did.
6? Oh yeah, I think it's because most
no 5. It happens in 5.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think it's probably because most people haven't played a lot of those older games. People that I know most of the time, they haven't played.
I thought it was
5.
Right. I like the. I love how it's always they haven't played 1 through 5, but 6 is regarded so highly that people almost always go back and play it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the further back you go, it's harder for newer generations of players to play those old games because it's like, oh, what am I looking at here? And it can be tough. A lot of the mechanics. I know people have mentioned in the chat a few times about how 2's leveling system is just awful. I've heard that a few times.
I got an hour into 2 and I couldn't play it anymore.
Two is the outlier. I would like to say though that 2 is the outlier of systems that don't work. I'm not really sure what 3's is, to be honest, but I know it's not as hated as 2's. And then, 4 brings the active time battle for the first time for any game, which revolutionized games of that style, not just Final Fantasy, but role-playing games altogether. Yeah. And then 5 has the job system, and then everyone knows about 6. So I feel like they've consistently just put out fantastic game mechanics, game systems, structures, whatever you want to call it. I'm blanking.
Except for 8. They didn't nail it.
Says you. Meanwhile, I'm enjoying the drawing grind and equipping this magic to stats and being overpowered. You played 8, right, Cubby?
I played it a little while, yeah. I never finished it.
Did you also hate the junction system?
Yeah, it was weird. I had trouble.
Yeah. It's not great. It's just it's not very engaging for me. It's like, okay, you press this button, draw. Doesn't do anything. I want some kind of excitement if I'm going to be sitting through a game like that.
Yeah, it is. I'm not gonna lie, it is a very tedious process to draw 99 of each magic for whatever characters you're gonna use. But once you get there, then if you can push through that, then you're there and you're good to go. But we're not here to talk about 8, so I'm gonna try and steer us back towards 5. Did you have a specific 4 jobs that you like to use to start off with? Because I just went black mage, white mage, and then 2 of the knights that had the they looked almost like turbans, if I remember correctly.
I mean, to start off with, I don't know, I don't remember the details of it. I do remember that I tended to have Bartz be, my primary fighter, Lena primary healer, Ferris would be like the more thief type, and then Galoof was a tricky one because he changes halfway through, so I kind of would he would kind of go back and forth between being a fighter and being a primary caster, black mage, that sort of thing.
Yeah, Lena was my white mage, Galoof was my black mage. I think actually I had Ferris as my stronger one. I think actually my first playthrough. My favorite story-related surprise have to do with Ferris when you discover who she really is. I can't wait to play it on the Pixel remaster to see how it looks, because I hadn't seen anything until recently, and I finally went and looked, and the Pixel remasters just look beautiful. I know some of it has missed content, but I'm really excited to get to play those and on something that looks that good. And since we're not on emulators, we'll actually get the trophies this time.
There you go.
All right, so the big one, 6. It's the it's really the crowning achievement, I feel like, for the 2Ds and really the SNES system in general for a lot of people. The floor is yours, Cubby.
Yeah.
Gus, about Final Fantasy VI.
Growing up with 2 and 3, I already mentioned, my brother and I had these at the same time. He's in chat right now. I have to admit, 2 was always my favorite growing up, and he always liked 3. He always said it was a better game. I fully admit now that he was right the whole time. Final Fantasy VI is a better game. It's my favorite, of the Final Fantasy series. I think I think the biggest innovation that they made is, at least that I know carried on from a mechanic perspective, is the whole Espers, Magicite. Very similar to Materia in 7, right? The fact that not everyone could use magic. There were 2 characters who naturally could use magic. Everyone else, if they wanted to use magic, they had to use these Espers to kind of learn more. So I thought that was interesting. As we already mentioned, there's 14 characters, but each one of them felt very different. They all had, for the most part, stories with them, interesting stories. For the most part, they all had, most of them had useful skills. You mentioned the 7 levels of hell. I think one of those levels of hell probably should be grinding in the Veldt to get Gao's, rages. If you don't get that stray cat early on, he's kind of, I don't want to call him useless, but he'd be really hard to use. But he's so useful. Like if you level him up and you use him properly, he gets super overpowered by the end of the game. I know there's challenges where people take Gao and they just do a solo run with him. There's other challenges where people only use natural magic, so they don't actually use the Esper system to teach magic to the other characters. They only rely on their unique abilities. So that's
an interesting playthrough.
That would be. I've never done it. The last time I played on mobile, I actually the tendency that I sometimes had early on was to just get everyone to learn Ultima as quickly as possible and turn them all into just like Ultima, cannons, right? And it
Min
worked.
max.
Yeah. But I found it way more interesting to really lean into their individual talents and try not to use magic unless I needed to, except for the magic characters. Realm is, she's a pictomancer, they call her. She can sketch. I found that crap. I think it was glitchy actually. I think it glitched a little bit, but she's a great magic user. So use her as magic.
So you're saying you really enjoyed role playing the characters in the role playing game?
Yeah. Hey, how about that? And that I thought was really interesting too, because they all had characters, but because of the Esper system, you could really make these characters into who you wanted them to be. Mog is the Moogle character. He has these dances that are just hilarious to watch, right? And they can be very powerful. But if you kit him right, he could actually become, a very useful dragoon, with the whole jump, lances, jumping. And he could be just super effective that way too. There's plenty of other characters like that.
This is my request. If there are pictures of Moogles or Mog in Dragoon outfits, I want Moogles in Dragoon outfits in the Ben and Friends Discord, if they exist. I would love to see that.
Cubby, did you play 6 on like the mobile version, or did you? I don't want to say the dirty E word, but did you? No,
I never did an emulator.
Okay.
Of course, I had the original on the Super Nintendo, which was a glitch fest in some cases, right? And then more recently, I've played it on the mobile version.
So I played it on an emulator on my phone. Sorry, internet, but there is what is his name? Is it Sabine who does the? You have to press the buttons in a certain order.
Yeah, Sabin.
Yeah, trying to do that on an emulator on your phone is just a nightmare, and that's honestly like I'd never used him unless I absolutely had to, because I was like I can't do this. He just is useless.
That's the blitzes, which are basically doing Street Fighter moves in a.
Yeah, it was awful. That's one of the reasons why I gave up on it. I was like, this is just stressing me out so much. So once I get the remaster, like the Pixel remaster, I'm excited to actually get through it and finish it and be able to use everyone.
I'm in Steve's boat. I played it on an emulator first, and it was frustrating and I just ended up giving up and not playing it. So that's one that I played later on the Game Boy Advance. But like when I first tried it, I just couldn't do it. So. Yeah. That's when I went to 5, but oh man, I had something great I was going to say and I just lost it thinking about trying to do that stupid thing on the emulator. And it was really the best like anti-emulator device on a game was trying to place it. You just couldn't do it. So
yeah. And they also don't explain to you what the mechanics are for Blitz. It was just like, yeah, okay. You have this character now.
Oh,
these are his things.
I remember now.
Didn't say it.
So I feel like Zell in Final Fantasy VIII, his limit break is a huge nod to that because it's always press a button and it's very Street Fighter-y.
Yeah.
As Cubby put it. Did either one of you two play enough to get to Zell's limit break?
I don't think so.
I didn't make it out of the first dungeon.
Oh, I'll send a little video of it in the aforementioned Discord that if you're not already a part of, you should definitely join.
That's right. Yeah, the Sabin's blitzes are legendary mostly because you can suplex the train. That's definitely a meme out there, Sabin suplexing the train. That's classic.
I believe someone said he's the main character because he suplexes trains, and how can he not be the main character?
That's true.
Yeah.
All I can think now is Steven saying Sabine, because I guarantee you he's just been watching too much Ahsoka.
That may be part of it. I think we talked about it before, how like all the names, and even as you're reading them off, like during the lore episodes, you're like, okay, I've seen these names a million times, and I have no. It was always fun to like when I talked to another Final Fantasy fan growing up, and be like, oh, you just say someone's name like Eris, and you know how there's Aerith or Eris, and everybody they would argue about which one it is or how you pronounce it and such and such. I think it's one of those names for me.
I mean, it's spelled the same way.
Yeah.
So my dad had a friend growing up who spelled his nickname like Cecil, but went by Cecil.
Yeah.
So growing up, I heard Cecil in my head, and now I've switched to Cecil. But
are we sure that how these names are pronounced? How are we entirely sure? Because there's no.
I mean, I've been bullied into it at this point.
I don't know any. There's nobody's name is actually pronounced until you get to 10, and now the 7th remake.
In the remakes that they did, I know they did a remake of 4 where they added voice acting and what do you call it? And fully animated cutscenes. I'm trying to remember where I played that. I think that was on mobile, one of the mobile versions.
Yeah, it's
or maybe that was the DS.
They did some of the older ones as like 3D remasters, where they did a lot more to it. And I think
it wasn't a remake. You're right.
Yeah, it's like a remaster, but they did it in 3D format. And I think it is the mobile versions. I think.
Look
I
at
could
our
be
fearless
completely
leader
wrong.
Benny coming through.
No, no. I'm not part. No, it makes me sound like I'm part of the mafia.
And
Before
Sharp,
we dive into this, go ahead, Steve.
I have to mention, Sharp. We don't discuss Dissidia on here. We don't count that. That terrible game. It doesn't.
Do you even know what Dissidia is, Cubby?
No.
It's a fighting game. It's think open arena Soul Calibur, but Final Fantasy characters.
Okay.
All right, so before we dive into the spoiler side of things and we discuss how each story kind of does have a nice big twist, and then we figure out which one we make Cubby rank them, because while he is the guest, I am going to put him through the ringer a little bit. I think you should probably do the mid-break. And this is a good spoiler point. After this, spoilers abound. So, Steve, be ready to tread carefully.
Yep. Sure, we'll go with that. But yes, let's start a mid-break.
This summer, say I do.
I am marrying a stranger.
Like never before.
Am I crazy?
It's a whole new Married at First Sight on Peacock.
Thank God I woke up in love.
With new experts.
My name is Dr. Lisa.
My name is Paul Brunson.
More couples.
This could be the start of a very successful marriage.
And more surprises.
Or maybe not.
Everything is just not enough.
You're a little bit crazy.
I don't know what's going to happen.
I want my fairy tale ending.
Married at First Sight, now streaming. New episodes Thursdays, only on Peacock.
If you want all of your data in one place, you need the Intuit ERP. I'm Damon John, and I run my growing business on Intuit Enterprise Suite. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
All right, welcome to the mid-break of the show, where we talk about everything with the podcast that has nothing to do with, well, what we're talking about today. And if you want to join us on these episodes as our patrons, you can join us on patreon.com/Final Fantasy Lorecast. If you want to support the show, we have multiple tiers. The $20 tier gets you on the show, like we are recording for this week. And you can get even earlier, like early episodes, 1 day earlier before they go on all podcasters. You can also support us through leaving a review on Spotify and on Apple. If you leave a 5-star review with some words on Apple, we'll read it out loud next time on the show. As well as a comment on Spotify. Normally I actually should have Spotify comments, but for some reason they're turned off right now. For some reason on Spotify, so I'll figure that out later. And then if you do want to join us, it's not on the podcast, you can join us on a few different Discord servers. We are on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net, which is the host platform that we're a part of, as well as our own Discord, which is the Ben and Friends Podcasting Discord, where we have this show, as well as the other shows that I host, the Wizarding World Lorecast, the Holocron Histories, and now the Witcher Lorecast, which I am now a permanent host of.
Did you notice, Ben? Well, this is going to be super quick. Did you notice that you start behind the 8 ball on Monopoly, the Witcher version, because you're Team Triss? Team Triss players start in debt.
Whoa. What?
No. I'll show you after. We got to keep going, but I wanted to drop that bomb for you in case you hadn't seen it. So keep on.
No, moving. I have not seen that. Okay, that's something I'll have to look into. Anyway, but yeah, you can join us on those Discords. And Steve, Trey, do you guys have anything else to add?
Nope.
No? All right. Well, at this point, let's get right back into the show.
What if I told you you only have 12 hours to legally have sex?
To finding true love. Or just like a good guy.
From the director of Easy A and Anyone But You.
This whole thing is nuts.
There's nothing traditional about this night.
On August 7th, the clock starts on the summer's biggest rom-com.
I'm Owen.
Allie.
What about you and me?
Monica Barbaro, Callum Turner.
I've been told I'm a 7.
By who? Your mom?
No, she thinks I'm a 10.
One night only. Rated R. Only in theaters August 7th.
Visible puts the ultimate wireless hack in the palm of your hand. With unlimited 5G wireless data and hotspot designed to keep you connected, powered by Verizon's 5G network. And no contract holding you back. Plans start at $25 a month, or get the premium Visible Plus Pro plan and save $10 on your first month when you use promo code HACK. Make the switch at Visible.com. Terms apply. See Visible.com for details.
All right, we're back. Now we're talking about more of big plot twists.
Yeah,
Cubby, you put in the Patron chat that you wanted to talk about how each game kind of had a twist. Is there one in particular that you would like that you have as a favorite, or do you just want to go in order?
Yeah, I'd say when I'm thinking about a twist, I kind of already mentioned that, right? Where you think the goal of the game is one thing, going through it at the beginning, and then all of a sudden it opens up and you realize, oh, like Steve was saying, right? Like, oh, the bad guy isn't who I really thought it was, or wow, this quest is way bigger than I realized it was. I know there's I've seen it enough in pop culture, right, to know that there's a big twist in the middle of 7, right? When something, very damaging happens.
Oh yeah.
But
we're going to get it again too.
And I know it's still a heart-wrenching thing for everyone who cares so much about these characters. I think for 4, there's a couple of them, but I think the big one is when Cecil realizes that who he thought was the big bad is really his brother, and they're both half, they're both not fully human. They're both, Lunarian, half Lunarian, and it's really basically their uncle is the big bad. And oh, by the way, the mysterious light that gave Cecil his power, earlier on, oh, that was his dad, you find out all of these things, and that's kind of when you go to the moon and all of that. Just changes, that's not one of the biggest. I wouldn't put that as my top, my favorite big reveal. But it's the first example that I think of something that really changes the perspective, or changes the perspective of the whole adventure.
Right. The entire game changes once you get to give it that look back, that added perspective to it that you just don't have the first time through.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the big twist in 7, and I mean, we all know what we're talking about here. But even that, it's not. It's not necessarily.
I have something of this. Rebirth, it is supposedly, there's theories to where we might be able to save said person.
I don't like that. I don't like it. Keep it how it is. It's the reason the game was so great. If you would have been able to do
but
we're not talking about this right now, you guys. That's stuff for later. That is stuff for later. But trust me, I have some thoughts. Don't get me wrong.
Do we have to dance around what it is? It's a 40-year-old, what is it, 30-year-old game?
Eris dies.
Did, so I was doing it out of respect.
Yeah,
for Cubby,
I mean, the game came out in the 90s. It's at this point, like.
But that happens, and I mean, for that, I guess in 7, the big swerve is that they're ancient, which is kind of similar to being. They're not necessarily from the moon, but they are. They're from a different planet. But I don't know that even changes the story. Like, that Sephiroth's something special. That there's something going on. Whereas in 4, you don't really know that there's anything that special about unless there's stuff I missed whenever I was doing the research on this. Cubby, am I wrong on, or is it really just something that
not
in Final Fantasy fashion it comes out of left field? But in 4, I think the execution is done much better than in other games.
Yeah, that makes sense. They don't really hint at it either until you get the remaster where they add some cutscenes. In the original game, it comes out of left field, and you really don't have any idea of what's really going on.
All right, well, you sold that one really well. You sold it better than even I was prepared for. So I'm all in on the four swerve that changes the entire story. 5, we danced around 5's a little bit. Steve, if you need to cover your ears, do so right now. But this one's not nearly as bad as
he'll probably
this one's not nearly as bad as 4.
No, it's not. I think the big twist there is you realize that this isn't the first time that this big bad that's challenging the world has been done. And actually one of your party members, Galoof, is one of the Dawn Warriors from another world. You also realize that Bart's his dad was one of those Dawn Warriors as well. So again, Bart's is not just, up until that point, he was kind of the reluctant hero, right? He was like I don't want to do this. I'm just along for the ride, whatever. And then he finally realizes, oh wait, I've got a bigger job here. I still think, not really from a game-changing perspective, just from a personality perspective, I love the fact that when you meet Ferris at first, he's this rough and tough, pirate captain and talks with the pirate accent and all of that. And then you realize that Ferris is a girl. He's a woman, or she's a woman. And not only that, later in the game, you realize, oh, by the way, she's the sister of Lena, and she's also a princess. I love that.
It's
blowing all the spoilers.
Stories.
We definitely talked about that on the Crystal episode. Yeah, we discussed how it was a separate. That wasn't the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That he had lost his memory or something like that, or didn't realize, or no, he grew up. Never mind.
Oh yeah,
no, you were right.
Didn't know.
You were right about. Galuf also.
Oh, Galuf,
remember you meet him and it's the guy who comes from the meteor, and you go in and you meet him and he's like, I don't remember anything, but I remember my name and I remember I'm here for a purpose. And then he doesn't remember anything until the end, is what Steve's remembering.
Yeah.
And he also, all the spoilers, he also dies and, gets replaced.
And then you get his granddaughter as his
granddaughter,
replacement, correct?
Krill. Yeah, his granddaughter. But fortunately, she keeps all of his, leveling. So it's not like I know a lot of people, play through 7 and spend all that time leveling up Eris, and then it doesn't go anywhere. But
that was me.
It doesn't happen with Galoof. Your levels carry over. So that's it's not as, I don't think it's as big of a shift in that game. It wasn't as compelling to me as the one in 4, but it still does fit into the same category of changing the perspective of the game.
No, and I thought 5 seemed to be more gameplay focused, more like job system. It didn't seem like it was story driven. It was much more game mechanic. That's what it seemed like for me. Whereas the next game we're talking about, it was just the complete package.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Let's get to it, because the twist in 6 it's an all timer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you start off and you think it's Star Wars all over again, right? Returners against the Empire. You're trying to. That's the story, right? These Empire guys are bad. They're creating magitech. They're sucking the energy out of the Espers. We have to save them. And then, never mind. The Emperor really isn't the big bad guy. It's really Kefka. That ridiculous over-the-top jester that he is. Oh yeah, no, he's a super powerful. He's super powerful. He's got delusions of grandeur. He wants to be a god,
and he wins.
Wins.
He does. Yeah.
He becomes a god. He destroys the world. He levels the world. And then you start over basically. And you've got to get your party back together and take out not only Kefka as a god, but all the gods of magic, that he's able to awaken and get power from them. Yeah, that's an all-timer. It really changes the way it opens up the game too. At that point you're mostly on rails, I think. You're kind of going through, very, very clearly defined path at that point. Once you get to, you get the airship in the world of Ruin, it really opens up the game. You're kind of just said, here you go. That's where Kefka is, and you have an airship, and you can go get him now. But at that point, you only have, I usually have 4 characters. You could play it where you only have 3 characters at that point, because one of those characters is a little bit optional. And there you go. That you're just in a wide open world, and you can really go nuts with trying to get your characters back. So that to me as well, that's part of the problem that I had with it early on, is I was used to those games that was, you're on the rails and you just do what you're told. And then, and it's not leveled either. I like that. It's not like you go to a new area and it's not leveled to where you are. You could go to an area and get your butt handed to you because you're just not strong enough. And you go try to get Locke is the one that I almost always try to get him last, because you go into that cavern that he's in, and I mean the enemies are just really challenging if you haven't leveled enough. So anyway,
so it sounds like the order for you and for most people is going to be 6, 4, and then 5. I don't know. I mean, obviously, impact-wise, 6 is the biggest because, he levels a world. But just in terms of the story, the 4, I think it's closer than people give it credit for. Just it ties everything together. Golbez's desire for redemption. He asks for forgiveness before and then he's even once he gets the forgiveness from his brother, he still can't face the world, and he goes off to live on the moon and do all that. Like, there is a lot to it when you dig deep into the story and you dive in, and you're not Ben who just plays 17 different games all at once. But back when this was released, it was, you sat and you played the same game. You didn't have a phone to get on. You didn't have 17 different streaming things. And so people would play these games over and over. So you could have a big reveal like that and expect that the people playing the game were going to play it again and get to benefit from that.
Yeah, and you're right. And I mean, the biggest reason why that was my favorite game, even though 6 is probably a better game, is definitely a better game overall. There's a reason why 4 was my favorite game for a really long time, and it's for those story reasons. You have the redemption story of Cecil, turning from his dark side, in order to save the world. You're right. Then you have Golbez having to seek that forgiveness and trying to redeem himself as well. There's it's just a great part, and from that perspective, I agree with you that from a story, realizing that Golbez is your brother, this it was a huge reveal, and I remember it being really impactful the first time playing through it. It's a big deal.
Just come to my side and the side of you as a younger child who loved 2 over 3. Four's twist I think is just as powerful as 6's when it comes to me enjoying the game. And Ben, I'm sorry I took the cheap shot at you a minute ago. It was uncalled for.
It's fine,
and I apologize.
It's true though. I play way too many games all together with the little time that I actually have besides from work and doing these podcasts, because I do 4 of them, and 3 of them I actually do info work.
You've had to listen a lot of this episode, which is probably nice for you. You don't have to just read all of these terrible names you don't know how to pronounce.
Any of the shows I do patron chats for, it's so nice. 1, I don't have to make show notes, and 2, everyone can just tangent or have rants on whatever topic we're on.
But
it's fantastic.
So you've heard Cubby and myself gush about 4, 5, and 6. If, let's say, you had a train ride somewhere and nothing was going to work but an old school Game Boy Advance, you're playing 6?
6.
Okay.
Yep.
Steve, you playing 6?
No, because I've already played most of it. I'd probably go 4 because I'm interested. I've always been fascinated by Cecil. Is that how you pronounce it? I think from what I've seen, he seems like a really, really cool character. So I'd want to play 4.
And I've learned not to trust clowns from this episode. Because Klefka is a jester, right?
Mastodon in the chat had a good point. The Kefka sprite is probably one of the funnier things in all of Final Fantasy. Absolutely. You see his art. I saw his art form before I saw his sprite form, like he mentioned there, and it's hilarious when you actually start the game and you're like, look at that little thing. That's the big bad guy, huh? Because he's like bouncing all over the place. Yeah,
are so creative in these games. I mean, they get more emotional too with 5 and especially 6. The fact that they can laugh, they can act surprised. Kefka being the clown. Everyone says, you talk about Sid. Sid's in all these games too. Sid is the scientist who figured out how to, suck the magic out of the espers to create Magitech. His sprite looks like he's wearing a hot dog suit. And I see tons of artwork that really play up the whole hot dog suit thing. There's a great one of, Sid in the hot dog suit laying in bed and Celes is standing over him, shoving, fish into his mouth. Why aren't you getting better?
Oh my God, that costume is brutal. Yeah.
I don't know what it's supposed to be other than hot dogs.
The artwork is not much better.
I assume it's like a yellow suit, like what's a Breaking Bad, I assume it's one of those.
Yeah, I'll
try not to get the Esper goop on him. I don't know, but
whatever it is, it doesn't work.
It's not great. Yeah, I'll put it in.
All right, I see Torn in the chat wants Rubicant to get some appreciation because they heal you before the battle, which I did see mentioned a lot, which is, that's a boss move, but jokes on them.
There's the one boss.
It doesn't work out for them.
Yeah, you've got the one boss. They've got the 4 elemental fiends, which they kind of get away from that. But Rubicante is the fire fiend.
And they're the last one, right?
He's the last one.
You fight the first 3. You fight the first 3 pretty early in the game.
Yeah.
And then you're just kind of wondering when this last one's going to pop up, and you get more and more, like, if you're paying attention and you're really following the story, I imagine you just get more and more anxious waiting on the last of the 4 horsemen types to pop up.
Yeah, it's quite a big deal, you know. You think you're going after him, and then you only get halfway, and you see you've got to fight his crazy doctor, and then you have to go another way up his same tower. It's kind of a head fake too, because you know the ninja character Edge gets extra magic right before fighting him. He's like so mad, you know, at Rubicante that he gets extra magic, and you can't even use it against him because he's basically invulnerable to all elemental attacks until he, you know, opens up his cape like, you know, some weird whatever flashes you, and he does his ultimate attack. That's the only time you can hit him with, you know, water spells or ice spells, right? But you don't want to because he's gonna wreck you with his ultimate attack. But it is the really cool one that heals you, you know, right before fighting him. So he's like, fight me at your strength, you know.
Torn also mentioned that it's nice that you start out as a villain in 4, which is a nice story element. But in the chat, Cubby had mentioned specifically he enjoyed how each game had a mid-game twist. So that's why we went with the Golbez reveal rather than the Cecil is committing war crimes and then has to climb a mountain to make peace.
That's right.
Also,
all right,
since
Mr.
we were talking about 7 earlier, I just want to point out that I think the big twist is that you aren't who you think you are. I don't think it's the death. I think it's you're a different character, basically.
You're right. The Zach Cloud relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like spoilers. Like if you're listening to this, know that spoilers are potential. Like it is what it is.
For a 30-year-old,
it's the whole. That's the big reveal. It's why Cloud goes crazy and he's in the chair, and you get to have Sid as your party leader for a little while.
It's when I stop enjoying the game. Yeah.
Did you play 7, Cubby? You just went.
I haven't finished it.
Hopefully, you got to that point.
I haven't, but I knew it happened.
Oh, okay.
Right. I haven't gotten there, but yeah, I know the story. How can you not?
And someone still needs to finish the remake.
Yeah. The Dementors get you, whatever.
You have...
Oh, man, did we miss spoilers in the chat? What happened?
Oh, Mastodon's talking about the court gesture being a thing in the new Jedi Order series.
Oh. Well, thanks. I'm glad that Ben said the spoiler out loud on the podcast, so people that weren't listening to the chat, they also got the spoiler. Well done, Benny. That was rude.
I'm a Star Wars fan. I don't even know what Jedi Order is. What is that?
It's a game series.
It's the one with the guy from Shameless.
Yeah, Cal Kestis. Yeah.
Oh, that's called Jedi
with
Order.
it's Cameron Monaghan.
Yeah,
but Mastodon's talking about the Legends books for the new Jedi Order series, which the new Jedi Order was Luke's Jedi Order series, or his Jedi Order after the fall of the Empire.
Okay.
Well, whether it's that court gesture, you know, the Joker from Batman or Kefka, we've learned don't trust clowns.
Yes, just don't. Yeah,
and
don't trust.
I agree. The Kefka sprite is one of the best. I love that. So when you play 6 the next time, look at it as like an opera, and they're trying to get the people in like the very back row to see what's going on. That's why like their face, like they turn and like look at you, like when they look at the screen and they do like the crazy facial emotions. Think of it as like an opera, and like they're putting on a play, and I think that really adds a lot to the game too, because the first time I played it, I just thought it was like they were overdoing it and they were being ridiculous. And then I don't know where I heard that, but somewhere I had heard it, they were doing it like a play, and that's why they over-exaggerate everything. And after that, when I played through it, it all kind of made more sense, the way the characters acted.
Yeah, it's all the pre-voice acted games, all like they're all very, very animated. Like in 7, they all raise their hands like that, you know, go and fall or whatever. It's just how they have to. It's what they use to display emotion or whatever, because they weren't able to say it. So they had to, if they're outraged, they had to act outraged. So it's a lot.
I love how you mentioned the opera tray, because that's, of course, one of my favorite scenes in all of 6 is when you actually get to act in the opera.
Well, I mean, that's why I said opera.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like that's included in the game. It's not a coincidence that it's there. I think that's part of it. But so it sounds like, I know you said growing up 4 was your favorite.
Mm-hmm.
A minute ago you said 4 was your favorite. It's not your favorite now. What is your favorite game now?
My favorite Final Fantasy now is 6.
What's your favorite game?
And it's not a Final Fantasy?
Yeah, not Final Fantasy, just what's your favorite game? Then we'll get into 6.
You can probably tell from my username that I'm also a big Legend of Zelda fan. So my favorite game of all time is actually from the SNES period as well. It's A Link to the Past.
That's a good one.
We got on to Trey 2 weeks ago for not having ever played Majora's Mask.
I forgot about that. That's a game you need to like. I played a lot of the Zelda games.
Played it.
Y'all ready for me to offend some people? I have never played more than 2 hours of any Zelda game.
Oh my!
Wow.
I've never been a Nintendo guy. I had the Nintendo and Super Nintendo, but then I went to PlayStation, and I've been a Sony guy ever since.
How have you not even accidentally played Ocarina of Time? Everybody's played.
I played it a little. That's the one I played a little. Like I played it a little bit, but I never played and beat it.
Oh man.
The one Zelda game I have not played is Skyward Sword, and that's because I played it but never owned it because the controls were complete garbage. Because the Wii.
Is that the one? Yeah, the Wii
on the
was
Switch.
bad.
They solve a lot of those.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's still. I haven't beat it yet. It's still.
I see. It's still janky because they couldn't like completely redo the combat system.
Was it Twilight Princess on that too?
Are spectacular.
Twilight Princess was originally GameCube. They did They did like a port to the Wii.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's better on the GameCube.
I can imagine. Yeah, the Wii is not the system for Zelda.
No,
for sure.
It wasn't the system for most things, unless it's Wii Sports. But that's my opinion. Anyway, we are close on time. So, any final thoughts before we end the show? I know Steve, you've been quiet. I know I'll play 6. You'll play 4.
I'm glad Trey got to gush about 4 through 6.
Yeah, this is Trey's episode with Cubby.
Listening to us, yeah. I will say I have been playing 15, and I listened to y'all whenever I was away, bashing 15 again, and I gotta say I'm coming around now that I'm replaying it. I went in with very low expectations based off my previous experience. But now I'm giving it more time, and I'm really enjoying it. So I look forward to giving you more updates on my enjoyment of 15 as I get further in.
Love the Patreon chat. That's my final thought.
That's fair.
Can't wait for the next one.
And before we end the show, Cubby, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can't really. I'm not really all that busy on social media, at least not under the Highly and Cubby terminology. So if anything, you'll see me show up on various Twitch streams, whether it's yours or I do want to shout out some friends of mine who have another podcast. One of them, Mastodons, is on here. It's Games We Grew Up With. Great podcast. You'll see me on their chats sometimes. They have a bunch of Final Fantasy episodes as well. I think they did 3 episodes on Final Fantasy VII alone. So
well, I know what I'm listening to tomorrow.
Oh yeah, they're great. They're kind of my one of my first real podcasts that I got to know. So thanks for joining.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us this month. Thank you for being a patron. And everybody, if you want to join these episodes, join us on patreon.com/Final Fantasy Lorecast. And thank you for listening to the Final Fantasy Lorecast. And may the crystals guide you. Thank you for listening to the... You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net. You can find us on Twitter at FFLorecast. And you can email us at fflorecast@gmail.com.